Well, here we are on a beautiful day to show you my new 1965 Iris Mist Pontiac. This was a one-year only color, and it was Iris Mist for Pontiac, Evening Orchid for Chevrolet. Kind of a silver with a drop of purple in it. And it just looks beautiful outside here in the light. Now, this particular Bonneville I had to procure because actually a YouTube viewer put me in contact with the owner. Her father had passed away. It was his baby. He bought it brand new. And you just don't turn down mint condition 65 Pontiacs. There's a few rules in collecting, and one of them is don't pass up on these vehicles, particularly one owner cars. And you can tell it's just in gorgeous shape, inside and out. And look at the interior's perfect, the dash pad's perfect. Package shelf is perfect. We'll talk a little bit more about that. But first, 1965 was the first year of this body style for the full-size Pontiacs. It would last until 1970, and I think this is really peak Pontiac. These stacked headlamp Pontiacs are just amazing. 1963 would be the first year for the stacked headlamp Pontiacs. 64 would also be stacked headlights, but those had the headlights pretty much in line with one another, and you notice here in the 65 they moved the upper light proud of the lower light. They have this beautiful cutout here that shows off this nacelle. I think the detailing on the 65 is fantastic. It's my favorite of all Pontiacs, I would say. All Pontiac model years would be 1965. And this Bonneville is the long wheelbase Pontiac. The Bonneville and the Star Chief were on the long wheelbase. The Catalina and the Grand Prix were the short wheelbase. And take a look at the quarter panel on this thing. It's most of it's taken up by the Bonneville block lettering, or a good portion of it, but you don't even notice it because it's so long. It's also the time of kind of peak fastback at General Motors, this fastback roof line, and that would go away on the full-size cars just a few years later. It was a brief styling trend, and unfortunately would go away, and they go to more formal uppers. The sun's peeking out a little bit more. And look at the rear, this beautiful trim panel and the Bonnevilles that you got with the 3 tail lights, emphasizing the horizontal nature of the car. I love how this emblem looks like it's about ready to slip off the deck lid here and has formed this crease. But look at, the beautiful highlights and shadows that you see on this car out in the sun. The shadow here, the highlight here, that is really affected by that crease. And that's true all over this car, no matter where you look here. I mean, the clay modelers on this car were fantastic. Look at, look at here on this surface. This again was peak Coke bottle for Pontiac, where this part of the quarter panel flares outward and then upward, and then you kind of, this portion also flares outboard as well, like a Coke bottle laying on its side. That was also a trend that would go away not too many years later. Now, in 1965, your full-size Pontiac, you started with the Catalina, then there was the Ventura, there was the Star Chief, then there was the Bonneville. And you could get all kinds of options in your Bonneville. This is a relatively low option car. It does have the vinyl top, obviously. Kind of wish it didn't have that, but it looks good because it has a black interior. This car also has power steering, power brakes, backup lights, windshield washers that you can see there. It did come with white wall tires originally too. And that's about it. No air conditioning. Oh, this does have an AM radio. That's not a second radio there. But you could get power windows, power door locks, automatic climate control, air conditioning, obviously. And I don't know that I would have bought a Cadillac over this. I mean, this car looks fantastic. It drives fantastic. It's richly detailed. I mean, the Cadillacs were great looking too, but I don't think they were any better than this. I would have saved the money. Just bought this instead. And look at that beautiful trim on the lower. And for, a car of this era, the gaps are not really that bad. Not perfect, but really pretty good for the era. Deck lid is These gaps are a little bit bigger here, but at least they're consistent. And inside, this car is in fantastic shape. Look at that rear seat, the headliner, even the dome light, which is beautifully detailed. You can see it there. Let's actually go around to the driver's side in a second and we'll discuss that a little bit more. Oh, this car does also have backup lights. Yes, those were optional. You can see them integrated here in the bumper. It's hard to believe backup lights and windshield washers were options, but they were. They're part of the option list on this car. Now, Pontiac during this time was offering some innovative features to its customers in addition to the beautiful styling, one of which were these articulated wipers. And some people say, well, my car has butterfly wipers, but for other General Motors divisions, they didn't have these articulated wipers. This is actually a 4-bar linkage. Notice there are 2 arms here. And what that allows is when this wiper comes up, it sweeps basically parallel to the A-pillar when it gets to this part of the travel instead of continuing to rotate. So it clears the windshield better. I think Ford and the Thunderbird had that, but at General Motors, this was something that was unique. Pontiac would later in 1969 on the Grand Prix would introduce for the first time the integrated antenna into the windshield. Some people love that or hate it, but that was also a Pontiac innovation. So they're a pretty innovative division in addition to the beautiful styling. Notice the front end of this, how everything looks like it's kind of rotated forward a little bit, just looks like it's ready to pounce. Even this area with the arrowhead, and look at the complex surfacing and reflections that you see here. I mean, the clay modelers just did a beautiful job. This surface is kind of twisting and turning as it comes down here, and as you kind of walk around, see the reflection, how it moves? That's the fine artist that General Motors had for clay modelers. And somehow the manufacturing guys had this hood overslam gap of maybe 2 millimeters they had to work with. Here it's tucking in behind this grille, but this was something that was on Pontiacs. Even my 59 is like that. So I guess the manufacturing folks just got used to it by that point. But my friend John Manoogian noticed that when I showed him this car. And by the way, if you haven't seen, John writes a column on his career in Driven to Write. John was a designer at GM for many, many years. You should check it out. And also, I would say my friend Dave Rand writes a column for Autoweek. And you should check out his column because Dave loves 65 Pontiacs. And I know he's extremely jealous that I have this one because he loves, like I said, the 65s. So check out his column and maybe then it'll torture him less. Look at how long this quarter is, by the way. You got to back up a long way to really get the quarter into view. Just a fantastic looker. Let's take a look inside now. And as we walk around to the driver's side here, let's just take a look. Now there's not much real stitching on this door panel. I'm sure the designers wanted this to all be real stitches. It's just kind of formed in there. But who cares? It looks rich. You have this beautiful Bonneville nameplate with the checkered flag, obviously alluding to the Bonneville salt flats where lots of racing was taking place during this time. And on this car, as you can see, 11,494 miles. Look at all that rich detailing. This is not another radio. This is the heater control, one of the curious features of this car. So you just turn this, and that changes your temperature. If you had an air-conditioned car, you can continue turning it, and this would turn blue. And then this is your blower over here. And you can push these buttons. Listen to this. I mean, oops, loud horn. Accidentally pushed it. I mean, listen to how that operates. Nowadays, you got this little plastic piece or whatever that doesn't feel that great. This feels expensive. It also has the rear speaker, and there's a rear speaker control down here. where that's just the front speaker, this is both speakers, and that's the rear speaker only. So kind of a interesting way to operate. On these, you could get all sorts of options. You could get power windows, power locks, power seat, even an extra deep foam front cushion, optional deluxe seat belts. These are the standard seat belts. The deluxe ones were chrome, so they'd really get hot in the sunlight. Automatic climate control. 65 was the first year for automatic climate control. You could get automatic or manual AC. The automatic climate control dash pads have a little sensor up there, and then the AC cars have a vent here as well as one on either side down there. So, as I mentioned, this is not an AC car. But look at how everything is just beautifully sculpted. Look at that shifter. Now they're just kind of this ugly piece of plastic. Even the turn signal stock has the same form. This was unique to Pontiac. I mentioned this car has the optional washers. There's a little button for the windshield washer. This is the headlamps. The cigarette lighter, of course, you have to have that back in this day and age. I've never opened the ashtray in this car. Oh, it's clean. Maybe used once or twice, but very clean. Little reading light there to supplement the dome light. Look at how beautiful that dome light is. And it's just fantastically detailed. And the headliner's perfect, all the bright work, trim. And this lucite wheel. I mean, you just don't get this anymore. It's fantastic. Rear seat's perfect. Package shelf is perfect. Let's take a look under the hood. Now, for 1965, you could get a lot of different engines in your Pontiac. The standard, which is what this car has, is a 389 4-barrel, making 325 horsepower. If you got it with the automatic, it made 325 horsepower. If you got it with the manual, it made 333 horsepower. That was standard in the Bonneville, as I said. Optional, there was a 338 horsepower 389 3.2-barrel V8. There was a 338 horsepower 421 4-barrel. You can tell the 421s because they have a chrome air cleaner lid and chrome valve covers. Then there was a 356 horsepower 421 3.2-barrel and a 376 horsepower 421 high output 3.2-barrel V8. And in any of the full-size Pontiacs, you could also get optional a low compression 389 2-barrel V8 that I believe made 256 horsepower. The standard 389 in the Catalinas, as an example, was the 389 premium fuel 2-barrel, which made 290 horsepower. So all different kinds of engines that you could get in your car. And the 389 in these is just fantastic. This car's been sitting for about 5 years. It's so smooth, it's so quiet. You got to do a couple things. It's still got points and condenser in it. I should replace that. And then I'm going to get the radiator record. I have to fix the heater core. You can see it's blocked off there. But minor stuff. I mean, look at the condition of the car. Look at the frame rail. It's just perfect. Even this radiator fan shroud is in beautiful shape. And I have to imagine maybe that's the original hose there with the hose clamp, the tower style hose clamp. I will change the antifreeze in this. I don't know how old the antifreeze is, but you just don't want old antifreeze circulating around. Notice it does still have the single chamber master cylinder. This was the waning years of that. 67 would be the first year where the dual chamber would become standard. Much better. You better make sure your emergency brakes work, because if you pop a brake line on this, you have no hydraulic brakes. Now, as we look out back here to the deck lid and the trunk, here's another reason why I bought this car. Take a look at this trunk. Everything is just spotless. And you pull back the trunk mat, and it looks like new everywhere. It's just fantastic. Original spare under there. Bias ply. Laredo. I think that's BF Goodrich. And it came with the original invoice for the car. The original registration. Here's the registration actually from 1965. That's the original one. Take a look at that. It even has all the recall notices from Pontiac that were sent out. So one of these is for the steering idler arm. I guess there's a recall on that. One is for brake hoses. And then it has the original sales contract too. From Packer Pontiac in Detroit, Michigan. This car was, you can see there, $34.59. Made a $1,200 down payment, then made 36 payments of $73 to pay off the rest. You couldn't finance cars over 7 years like you can today back then. So the payments were much more expensive, relatively speaking. So let's close this up and take one last look here. And I suppose I'll start it up too. It's got 5-year-old gas and hasn't been tuned up, but I mean, shockingly, runs great. Let's see here. Sure, it'll run even better after I get this old gas. The gas is probably 5 years old or so out, but it definitely sounds good. And there you have it. What do you think? I mean, look at that, so clean. Hardly a stone chip on this car. Kind of interesting that that's 2 pieces too down there. So what do you think about the color? I actually love it, especially in the sun. Wouldn't have ordered it new, but I definitely would have bought one used, or if there were a good deal on it, because it's a good looker, especially in the sunlight. Thanks again for watching. Thanks again for watching. Be sure to check out John Manoogian's Driven to Right column, Dave Rand's Autoweek column, and also Dean's Garage, another great place to check out stories about car design. I'll put links in the video description to all 3. Thanks again.